Hi everyone, just wanted to go over a few things from last week and the week to come. So last week, week 5, we talked a bit about the ethical principles related really to clinical care. So things like autonomy, beneficence, non-malfeasance, informed consent, etc. These are the areas that we really kind of commonly think of as healthcare ethics issues, but are really just a small piece of what we're concerned about from an ethical standpoint as a leader in the healthcare setting. So that was our work from last week. I look forward to reviewing your work, your case studies and whatnot from last week. I still am in the process of getting through your week 4 assignments, and I should have those back to you hopefully within the next few days. As I think I said in the announcement, we're in the process of moving. We are actually moving to Florida, so it's a challenge right now. Unfortunately, we're currently stopped in Virginia for the night to kind of wait out the hurricane going through, but we'll be back on the road tomorrow. So I will, obviously fit in stuff during the day. If you have questions, just drop me an email. Otherwise, I'll probably respond later at night. So that was week 5. Week 6 is we're kind of moving on to societal health and population health. And it's perfect timing for these topics, looking at ethics with relation to epidemics, pandemics, disaster and emergency preparedness, etc. As I had said in the announcement I sent out, there was an issue with the scan of the textbook. We're reading from, I think it's called Healthcare Ethics, Critical Issues in the 21st Century or something like that. So it's this Morrison textbook. So the original scan is here, as well as pages out of the ebook that when I printed those chapters, that's what it gave me. So both of those resources are here, but I will be back in Pittsburgh on Friday so that I can go back to the office and scan the pages again. So if you want to wait until this weekend to read the content, this content, feel free, and I can give you some extra time for your quiz if you need. So this week we have discussion. There's a reflection assignment that's specific to health inequality and inequities and whatnot in healthcare. And then we have our quiz, and this is the Dropbox for the reflection. So let's hop over here to the quiz questions from last week. So last week, like I said, we talked about kind of those more clinical-based ethical issues. So the questions, the top 3 that were missed were, if assistance in suicide becomes more socially acceptable, the correct answer was health services organizations will have to address the ethical issues it raises. Some students chose the second answer, B or C. And B is health services organizations will need to address end-of-life care in their mission. I don't think that that's necessarily specifically related to assistance in suicide. Not all, especially as I talked about in last week's lecture, the majority of physician-assisted suicide, or the majority of physician-assisted suicide, Dr. Kevorkian's original folks that he was helping were actually not at the end of their life, but had a condition that would make the bulk of the rest of their life very difficult. So things like ALS, etc. So certainly, we want healthcare organizations to address end-of-life care. Number one, does it need to be part of their overall mission? Not necessarily. It can be just a piece of providing high quality clinical care. I don't think it needs to be addressed separately in the mission. But then also, how does that tie to assistance in suicide? Not directly. So our correct answer there was addressing the ethical issues raised by assistance in suicide. Living wills. So remember that a living will is a document that one can create to provide additional information to whomever they name as their healthcare proxy. So, it could, but the actual term living will doesn't in all states mean an advance directive. So you need to make sure that you're using the appropriate advance directive for your state. And so what does the living will do? Well, it allows people to specify what can be done to and for them in the event that they are unable to. And it makes possible for people that reach a point where they can't communicate with their caregivers to let those caregivers know what types of treatment they want. So A and C are correct, hence the answer A and C only. Some people chose the last answer, E, which was all of the answers above, and living wills are not the legal mechanism by which a deceased person disposes of personal property. That would be a last will and testament. So that answer was incorrect, therefore making the bottom answer incorrect. So A and C only were our answers there. Last question. The concept of blank permits physicians to withhold information from patients when the physician believes it serves the patient's best interests. So this answer is therapeutic privilege, and I talked about this in the lecture. The notion of therapeutic privilege exists so that if for whatever reason a physician feels that it is in the best interest to withhold information from a patient, maybe due to their condition, due to their mental state, due to a situation surrounding the patient, they have that right through the notion of therapeutic privilege. Unfortunately, it is directly conflicting with the other concept of autonomy, or patient self-determination, where the patient gets to decide what treatment and how the patient's care proceeds. And if they don't have all of the information, they may not be able to do that. So therapeutic privilege exists. It does have ethical issues associated, but it does exist, and that is where that's followed as described in the question itself. So that's all I have. Like I said, my availability this week will be somewhat limited, but I'll certainly get back to everybody by the evening of the time that we're traveling, and so drop me a note, give me a call, whatever it is that you might need, and otherwise I will see everyone in the classroom this week. Thanks.